Hello, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight with me. I'm having with expressing myself using YouTube videos. Having with expressing myself using YouTube videos. Yesterday was the new moon in Gemini, and it was very intense energies. I think a lot of people are probably feeling that. I was, and I know a few people were that in my environment. And yeah, a lot of challenging kind of emotional times can come up. And these are things that happen to us when we're on the spiritual path and we're growing and transforming and choosing to look at our shadows and bring light into those places that sometimes we would rather leave in the darkness because they're too painful. I've been on that spiritual path, for years now, and I've had many different initiations and things where, whether it's through actual physical death or choosing to go on a type of journey where you release and purge a lot of your, old programs and things that have been stuck to you or that you came in with or that you just want to heal on that deep level. And some of this is done through ceremony. When I turned 40, I went to the Amazon jungle and through a ecotourism, solidarity tourism company called Pachamama. It's actually an organization that is allied with the indigenous in the world so that to help them protect their land. And I went on this journey with other people. We were a group of about 10. And yes, we went to live with this indigenous tribe and had the experience. Some of us chose the experience of doing ayahuasca, which is, I think a lot of people watching this channel probably already know what it is, but it's a plant-based sacred medicine used to for insight into our own journey and our purpose, and also for release and for empowering ourselves through this spiritual journey. And it's using DMT, which is dimethyltryptophan, I believe. We have receptors in our brain that connect to this. And anyways, you could look that up. It's not for everyone. It's extremely intense. Some people, take those intense routes, I guess, to healing. You really have to do your research and see if it's for you. It's not for everyone. It was very intense, and I'm glad I did it anyways, but it really did feel like a certain death. And I was scared that I actually wouldn't make it out of the jungle alive, but that often occurs. And yeah, it's just again, it's a way of really going deep into the spiritual journey, and some of us are here to do that, and I that's been my journey. And yeah, I just want to say that as challenging as those experiences are, which are kind of referred to as dark night of the soul, but I heard the other day someone say, the soul it's not the soul, it's the actual human ego that has a dark night and then is fighting for its life, basically. But yeah, so that experience is like, as I said, it's very intense. It's not for everyone. What I got out of it was a sense of kind of the ending of something ancestral that, like a karmic energy that was coming through over and over, and I decided that this was the end of that. I really felt like I was ending an old timeline and entering into a new one where there's more health and, emotional, psychological, physical, all of it, spiritual, and that this would be releasing, future ancestors and lineage and things like that. And then not just in the bloodline, but also in the human consciousness, since we're all connected. All of these experiences are shared in our collective consciousness, or what Teilhard de Chardin called the noosphere, which is the thinking sphere or the idea sphere, where everything goes there for all of us to participate, download, bring in, send out information. So all of this again is like in the quantum field of consciousness, we are all participants in that. So we really start to become aware that we are responsible for what we put out there in the idea field of consciousness. So this plant medicine is really one way to connect with the spirit of Mother Earth, of Pachamama. That's really the experience I had. And within that, there's a lot of extreme contrasts, dualities that we experience in this physical plane of reality that we call third dimension. And this is a place where I'm not sure I can explain it. I'm trying, but this is again, it's an experiential, embodied knowledge or experience. So I can explain it, but it's my own personal thing. All I can say is it really did help heal. But it took me a while to come back and land back into our society after having been with people who really live the natural cycles of time and, with their environment. And people can say they don't have very much on a material plane, but they are so rich in their connection to Pachamama and to each other and as a tribe and to their medicine. And I'm just glad that I participated in that experience, and also having, put my money in a place where I can actually help restore some of this land, and help also that they can continue to be on the land and not get kicked off, because they're able to bring in a certain economy. So it's like sacred economy. Yeah, well, I mean, in a way, everything is sacred. And when you start to really live in that world of sacredness, you connect to yourself and to others in that sacred space. And what happens is that we don't learn this stuff. We don't learn it at school. It's really your own, it's like a drive inside that pushes you to, or pushed me anyways, to go out and seek these experiences of deep healing and journeying into the spirit world. And there's all kinds of beings in that spirit world. So I think sometimes these initiations and challenges that can come up are not always spoken about either, like the dark night of the soul, and the idea that the feelings of like, utter fear and pain that can be in our bodies and in our minds. And this stuff is not always fun to look at or to be with. And but it's all part of the journey. It's part of the healing. And I was listening to a talk by Matt Kahn a day ago or something, and he talks about this, this healing journey being one way to go from victimhood to victory, or from being a martyr to a master. And I really resonate with that, because you know that's really, I feel, the goal or the point of of incarnating here, of having this human experience that is here to teach us, about, kind of transcending duality, transcending separation, and knowing ourselves as soul beings and as, consciousness, and that we really have a responsibility to act from that place of, being aware that we we can switch from being victims of things happening to us, um, you know creating our reality and creating situations from a higher place that we're not necessarily conscious of, but connecting to that so that we can, just, grow from those experiences and become more whole, holistic, complete within ourselves. And then we're not looking out there to fill up, consume, or find someone to fill though like that what we feel is like, empty, or not fulfilling. I really think that connecting to your soul journey is very important, and it's not something we talk about very much, in our, very, fast paced and quite superficial culture that we're here in North America anyways. um so yeah, I just, there was another quote that I like that Matt Kahn says is, you don't always have to get your way to be shown the way. So that's interesting because sometimes we realize that we have a lot of issues of like wanting to control outcomes, and I think when you're on that soul path, you realize at one point, I really don't have that much control over this situation. I really need to surrender to divine will and to kind of a higher source that is always guiding us. But we have to stop and listen to that guidance, and that's what I do. That's what I did a lot today because I went through a lot of just, an emotional time, and sometimes when we love a lot, we open our hearts, and we're vulnerable, and even sharing this is, places me in a vulnerable, situation. But I think that we really do need to share with each other these experiences to empower and to realize that it's not always, it's not always rosy and beautiful, and it can be really hard sometimes. It can be even devastating, and but we realize later when we go through these very difficult, challenging times that we're aligning somehow to our destiny. It's not like a fate. It's not like something that you have to put up with. It's like, no, there's a destiny here that I'm aligning with, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to follow the signs, and that surrendering is very important because, um, we don't. There is, there's a lot of signs for us if we start listening that we are on a path. And yeah. So right now I'm a lot into the divine feminine, and the goddess and the priestess, and I think it's important to bring her back into, our existence, in our in our imagination, but then bring that into our reality as well. So it's just about embodying, a high version of yourself. Taking care of yourself, self love. Um, Acting from a place of integrity in the world, and making those choices. And one of my very favorite goddesses that I've connected with over these past couple of years is Isis. So I have this oracle book, and I pulled out a card for the energies that I wanted to share. And I'm just going to read this and then go to bed. So I pulled this card called the Divine Sunchild. Okay. And this is like talking about initiation, and there was a lot of that in Egypt and in the mystery schools. And I think initiation and ritual is something that we really need to bring back into our culture. And I intend on doing that. I'm already doing it, but bringing it more into maybe even, education, different schools or events or all these things. I think we could really benefit, and our children could benefit from these as well to give more meaning into their lives. So I'm just going to read a little bit, but the blessings of the sun falcon, the divine sun child, Horus, son of Isis and Osiris, flow to you now, beloved initiate. It is time to allow your life to flourish without limits, to let your light burn bright and without veil, just like the midsummer sun burning without contest in the Egyptian desert. Blessings of the sun falcon herald the time when your divine legacy is being born. It is your time to burn bright. Horus is the divine sun child of Isis and Osiris and was born out of impossible circumstances through the great devotion of his mother and her loving determination to heal her husband and bring him back to life, to eventually become the king of Egypt, defeating dark forces that would seek to destroy him and all that he loved with great triumph. It is the story of the divine hero of Egypt. It is also a metaphor for our inner world. Our divine feminine must stay true to her values of love, healing, and the triumph of creativity over destruction, born of fear and hate. She must never give up her belief in her ideals. Our divine feminine is our body, whether a man or a woman, our inner values and the ideals that make our hearts beat stronger and feel right within our bellies. With such love for her inner divine masculine, she never gives up on her belief in him and in her desire for their togetherness. It leads to his healing even if he has lost, fragmented, and is fragmented. The divine masculine is our spirit, whether a man or woman, that our body desires to unite with to help it come to life and light in a new and blissful way. The love in our hearts calls our spirit home into our bodies. We become able to stand firm, take action, and make choices that allow our inner ideals to become part of our world. We live according to our values, not just hold them inside of ourselves. And finally, as our divine feminine and masculine unite within our bodies, a new golden consciousness is born. This is the sun child Horus with the eye that is the moon and an eye that is the sun, representing the perfect balance of masculine and feminine in harmony with each other. The divine sun child is a new self filled with love, light, and power in the world. It is the authentic self, living the inner truths in the outer world, an agent of healing on the planet and an inspiration for others to be bold, brave, and vivid enough to walk their own path to eventually receive these same blessings. So there's an invocation, a prayer that goes with this. I'm just going to read, I'm not going to read all of the pages because it's quite long, but I just find like these oracle cards can really, bring awareness and light into a situation or a moment that you're feeling you would like to call in, some divine assistance with information. And it's a creative way to connect with that. And so I really enjoy it. And incantations or invocations are also a way to connect to that spiritual path. So, Horus, falcon of the golden sun, my creative energies have begun to shine bright and strong. Help my creative projects along to fulfillment and completion pure. With your will and light so sure, Horus, falcon of the golden sun, my successes and winnings now come. So with that, I will say bonne nuit, good night, and thank you for watching and being with me, and I will see you again next time. Thank you. Good night.